Hey everyone, Pratiti Pathak here. Welcome to Unpacking Brain Drama, where we talk about real life experiences, the challenges, and the obstacles. Sometimes we use them to block ourselves, sometimes we use them to grow and evolve. Here's what I want to say: obstacles are not the things blocking our path, obstacles are the path. So, in other words, we have to grow through what we go through. So, join me as we have some amazing conversations with some amazing guests. We are unpacking some brain drama. And today I have, and I always say this every time, but I love all of my people. I have an amazing guest for you guys. I'm going to turn this off so that I don't glitch all over the place. But today I have for you guys Luis Camejo, and he is one of two brothers, and he is the co-founder and owner of Biz Bros and Content by Profit, or Content is Profit. I'm so sorry, Louise. Welcome to my show. This is like so awesome to have you on the other side of the mic, unpacking brain drama with you today.
Yeah, Pratiti, it's an honor to be here on your platform. You know, you came 2 hours and delivered, and it was awesome. We're just chatting about the conversation that we had, and it was amazing. So I'm super excited to be here with you today.
It was so good that I occasionally listen to it over and over again. There's some shows that you just want to listen to more than once. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm fortunate that you think our interview was that one.
It is really good. And I'm going to turn that part off because I just glitch all over the place. My Facebook people get to see me looking like a robot all the time. So I try to turn it off as quickly as possible. So welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Facebook Live. As a matter of fact, remembering back on your show was the first time I actually said, I would like to start doing a Facebook Live. And I had just started my podcast then, and here I am doing it, following you guys. And as a matter of fact, you guys don't know this, and I'm going to give Luis a chance to talk here in a second, but you have a challenge every single year, the 45-day live, and I definitely had my wits about me and I started it. I did not complete it, but it really got me going on this platform. So thanks to you, actually.
Thank you so much. And you're going to have to send me this recording so we can put it out there. But that was such a fun challenge. And now that you announced it, I guess we're going to have to do it again this year. We haven't done it so far. So that was like the one thing that got us unstuck from publishing, and really started this whole Content is Profit and company on the back end. So we owe a lot to, those 5-minute Facebook Lives. So, we just wanted to bring people into that experience and help them do the thing that they do. So I'm very excited. I'm very honored that you now are building this amazing platform starting there. So thank you for sharing.
Definitely. Thanks to you guys giving me that little bit of a nudge to go forward. So I know I said Biz Bros and Content is Profit. Are they one in the two? Are they two in the same company? Tell us a little bit about that. I know a little bit, but I'm going to let you tell it to the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So Biz Bros is actually the company. That's like the name of it. We started it almost 8 years ago now. And we started doing vinyl stickers. I remember we were just coaching soccer at the time because that's our background. We play soccer all our life. That's what brought us to the States on soccer scholarships. So we're like, maybe that's a job. I don't want to go to an office. That can also allow me to do something on the side. And the something on the side became Biz Bros. So we did stickers, we did vinyl, we did screen printing, we did social media marketing for local businesses, we did email campaigns, and then it evolved into content and the thing that we do now. Content is Profit. It became like its own thing in March 2020 when we launched the show, but it has grown and it has been quite a journey, right? We call it a platform. It's not just a podcast, but also other types of content that come out of that. But the main purpose has been developing amazing relationships like the one that we have with you. So that's the name of our show. We're part of the Hotspot Podcast Network. So it's been quite a journey in the last year. And they both work together to, put food in our tables and serve the people that we love. So
that's amazing. I mean, actually, when you guys first started that, I just met you in 2020 as well. through
Yeah,
Podbox, which
it
was
was brand new.
an event that used to go on all the time. That's how I got into podcasting altogether and met
Yeah,
amazing people. I got, had the honor of guesting on a lot of shows, and now I have the
yeah.
honor of having you guys back onto my show. But
Mm.
content is profit. So I'm totally going to go back to you guys playing soccer because I really love how you got here. But
Yeah.
the content is profit. Basically, share with me a little bit. So the what is the main piece of content that is so profitable? Like, to explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So in general sense, right? I think, what we're making, the statement that we're making with the title of the show is that the production of content will result in profit for you. And it really depends on how we define profit, right? A lot of, obviously, if you're in the business environment, it equals to money in your pocket, right? But at the same time, as we started publishing, as we launched the show and developed awesome relationships, it's not only profit for the business, it's also profit for yourself, right? We've met incredible people. We have now done more than 400 episodes. So we have an amazing group of friends that have been developed from the show. So anywhere in the States, really, where we go, we know somebody that is a part of the community or has been a guest. And from those relationships, opportunities happen. Just last week, for example, we were speaking at PodFest, an amazing conference in Orlando. We connected with the owner a couple of years ago. That was the event that kickstarted the podcasting journey for us. Now we're speakers at that event, and that originates different opportunities. So really, the profit can come from many avenues when it comes to content, right? It could be as direct as an ad to a landing page to a purchase, but we've chosen the path of, hey, can we develop relationships? And those relationships can present multiple opportunities, right? It obviously is very tied to the type of business that we do. We're in the service industry, and but other opportunities like Hotspot coming and knocking on the door on the show and be like, hey, we want you guys in here. Originated because of the relationships that we developed through the podcast specifically.
That's pretty awesome. I think that, that has been so huge for so many people, is to be able to take this video clip right now that we're on, and then break it up into these brilliant little moments and be able to highlight them and then draw people to you that way. It gives people an opportunity to really get to know you as a person versus just you as a business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we talk a lot about with the presentation that we just did. It was like the 6 stages of profitable video, right? But it could be applied to really platform, a podcast, the same thing. But we get so caught up in the production aspect of it. Like, for example, what you just mentioned, a long form to short form. What we're doing there is actually leveraging the time that, is the scarce resource for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of CMOs, CEOs, right? If you're running your company, if you're operating on your company every single day, right? What's going to happen is like your time is very limited. So when we shift the perspective of, okay, if I create, because today every single company needs to have a media arm, right? You have to control your message. You have to be in charge of the production, the creation of that, and the distribution of that, in a sense, right? Not relying on many people. And there's levels to this, but the time is the most important thing. So what we really focus on has been leveraging of that time, right? So what happens is when people consume content in different platforms in different ways. So like, for example, we get very tactical, right? A short consumer is going to be very different than a podcast listener, right? The podcast needs to be presented in a certain way. Shorts or a reel has to be presented in a certain way. What happens is like your audience, right? Like the essence, like there's going to be people that can connect with you in either platform, but it comes down to like, how do we actually present that content and gather feedback to continue to get better every single day? So a long form content like this turning into short form, what we call M2M, gives us a ton of opportunity to speed up that process. And there's other systems, absolutely 100%, but this gives us a lot of speed, a lot of repetition in a very short amount of time, so we can gather that information as a business.
That's so brilliant. I mean, when you think about it, when I was marketing, when I do market for real estate, it's very easy for me to even, first of all, the market out there is creating some of the content for me, right? But when I'm marketing myself as a life coach, I have to create all of my own content. I have to create all of my own programs. I have to write all of my own newsletters. I have to create every single piece. But if I can take a long form and then take little sound bites out of it and send it in an email, send it on a reel, send it on that makes it so that you're not creating 10 different pieces of content for 10 different areas of marketing.
Yeah, imagine there's like 6 stages, right? We can dive
Yes,
into this.
tell
For
us.
example, right, we have a lot of people come to us because they need help with the production aspect, right? How is this going to be presented? How are we actually going to create or produce something from a raw video, right? That can be presented in different platforms. What happens is that then we uncover everything else. And so it goes from like stage number 1 is like the what am I gonna say phase, right? Like the research. Like, so for you, for example, in your specific market, I'm sure there's some problems, right? That we can present some solutions. There's some questions, all these things. How do we gather that information? So then on stage number 2, we can actually go and create the piece of content, right? Whether you can do the podcast, right? Or the reel and the short. What I see a lot of today is a lot of people focus on like that micro piece of content. So they say, hey, you hear this message, I got to create every single day. We have to create more and more and more and more and more content, right? Because we got to feed the algorithm, right? What about we feed ourselves first? Like, what about, we create from an intrinsic place? So this process helps you do that. So obviously we have stage 1, which is the research. What am I going to talk about? Are those stories? Are those questions that we're answering? Are those demos, right? And then we actually go into the creation phase. For us, it became a podcast, right? It became content is profit. And then after that, it's like, how do we actually produce that creation? Is it going to take shape of an audio form, a long form video, short form video, right? What is it based on your business strategy? Highly recommended, right? And then from that production, what people forget the most is distribution. I actually have to put this content out there. How do we get other people to see it, right? So we spend so much time in the first phases of like finding out what am I going to say, creating it and producing it, and then we're exhausted, right? Or we don't even know like the next phase with our teams on how do we actually going to distribute this, right? So on distribution, we can keep it very simple. We could do either organic, right, distribution, or paid, which with ads and different things. So paid is just going to speed up that process. After that, after distribution, is how do we monetize? Like, how do we actually connect, right, this content to our business, right? For us, is a relationship. So the person that we connect with, right, they might be a referral source. There might be an opportunity on themselves. They can just be an affiliate, right? All these aspects. That's our very specific case. But if we're doing content directly to a landing page, right, can we have a self-fulfilling funnel, right? Can we have a break-even funnel, right? Do we have low-end products or do we have high-end products? All these elements that are going to play into how do we build that system. And the final part is like the management. How do we actually manage all these things, right? Do I have a team? Is it just me? Do I have subcontractors, right? What's the process? Do I do daily check-ins? So all of these pieces play a part in this machine that really becomes a selling machine if you're talking about a business, right? So those are the things that, we've been exploring the last 3 years and breaking it down. There may probably people coming through production, but I encourage everybody to think, hey, do I have room for improvement in the other 5 categories?
That is so amazing. And you're right. Just hearing you say all of it is exhausting, right? I am somebody who struggles with the distribution part of it because by the time I do all of those other things, I am like exhausted and overwhelmed by it all. I create a bunch of content and then it's just like, how do I put it out there? Which one would be better on this platform? Which one would be better on that platform? And another thing that I noticed that I have struggled with doing the micro piece out of the bigger piece is we're in a conversation like this. I may be doing a solo episode, but then each different platform only allows a certain amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So then maybe I said something that just took way too long and now I can't use it for anything. Do you know what I mean? Or, I had to push something out of my face. Like somehow it's like we're trying to make it perfect all the time when we forget that like being B- work is what we always talk about is like stop trying to be A+, just get the content out there. But that is there's a lot of strategy behind it that we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, it's funny how you mentioned this, and we talked about this since like day one. It's one of our frameworks we call the publishing pyramid, right? And in each of the 6 categories, you can place this, right? And at the very top, you're gonna see like, what are my resources? Like, what am I playing with in my business? Do I have a virtual assistant? Is it just me, right? Do I have a marketing team that can support me? Like, what do I actually have in hand to do this, right? So, and right below that is there's gonna be a capacity that resource has, like money, like money has a capacity, right? My employee has a capacity, which is time, right? Are they actually like good on skills to actually be able to deliver this, right? Right below that is like, how can those two, my resource mixed with their capacity, can be consistent over time? Because consistency is what's going to win the game, right? If you publish daily, one reel or one short a day, that's going to give you some kind of result. But if we stop, that breaks, right? Or the podcast, for example, we're very proud that we have more than 400 episodes to date in the first 3 years. We've been mega consistent, and that has changed our life forever, right? Yes. And now after that is at the very bottom is like your message, right? Like what are the stories that you share? What's the value that you provide? How do you actually connect with your audience? So all those phases need to be present in 6 of these buckets. So we can go from a very complicated system, or we can go to a very basic system. Let's take 45 Live, for example, right? So on the research mode, the framework that we share for low friction, we're like, the goal here is to execute consistently for 45 days, right? And I'm taking this specific example because you named it at the very beginning, but this can be applied to like every type of content. But the framework that we share was like, what happened today, right? On the research side, what happened today that I can relate to my business? So an example is like, I had 2 huskies at the time. I shared a story of them fighting, and then I related it to my business. That's my research, that's my story. How do I create? With a Facebook Live, right? I just go on the phone and I just press record, and that's my creation. Less than 5 minutes. Guess what? We move into the production aspect. Is there post-production involved? No, because it's a Facebook Live, right? So I skip that part in there. Then the distribution. Do I have to distribute in multiple platforms? No, because it is a Facebook Live. So we compress that, right? Based on our resources. I had 10 minutes a day to do this, right? And then after that, we go to the monetization aspect. How do I actually fit this into my business? Well, there was a call to action at the end of every single video to get in contact with us. That's how we met our very good friend Pablo, and that's how we were able to work on that big projects in real estate. And that was a massive deal for us. That started everything, right? So how do we connect? Through DMs. How do we connect? Through comments. How do we connect? Engaging. That was our monetization side of things, tagged with a service, which is the thing that we provided. And then at the end, how do I run this, right? Well, guess what? I have a spreadsheet with all my days. I'm like, yes, I did it. No, I didn't, right? That was the simplest of the simplest way. Right now, right, depending on your resources and your capacity, this system can grow like crazy, like something that we have with the podcast, but we have team members that are in charge of each of these stages. So I encourage you, if you're struggling with the production, getting stuff out there, identify where your friction point is in these 2 frameworks, 6 stages or the publishing pyramid. Are you the bottleneck, right? Can you make a decision and be like, to be consistent, this is what I gotta do, and then test it for a month and see what happens.
Well, I think there's a lot of value to having somebody that really already knows what they're doing, and having them do it for you and teaching you at the same time. Because when you're a single person like myself, I'm a solo entrepreneur. I've tried to hire assistants, VAs, to be able to help with that content. And what I found was just a whole lot of frustration on me being the founder, because I wasn't able to articulate what I wanted them to do, and they had no clue of what to do. So it made it like not saying a lose-lose, but it definitely was not a win-win. The win-win part of it was I learned a lot about where I needed to learn more. That was
absolutely
the biggest thing. But you've already taught me a lot just from listening to you. So we're definitely going to have to get on to another private call without our Facebook people so that you can teach me some more.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to go back a little ways into, first of all, next time you come on here, we have to bring the Fawns on here. So Louis has a beautiful brother, practically his twin, right? They're attached at the hip, and they're both named Luis. So we call Luis, and then we call the other Luis Fonzie, and it's very fitting because he's very cool. So Luis, take us back a little bit. I know that you and I have that cultural bond as well. You're from Venezuela. You guys were professional soccer players or trying to be professional soccer. Just take us back to the soccer days. And I want you to share with my audience what you and your brother so brilliantly did to come to America.
Oh boy. So I see my life kind of split in two at this moment, right? In 2010 is when I arrived to the States. I was 21 years old. And before that, right, my life was ruled by this beautiful sport called football or soccer for the Americans, right? So my dream was always to be a professional soccer player. I left home when I was 15 to go play in Italy for a year, lived in this little town, 20,000 people, by myself in this like little hotel room that the team owned next to the Mediterranean.
In Italy?
Huh?
In Italy?
In Italy.
In Italy.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was very near Salerno, south of Naples, right? So I showed the picture and everybody like, oh my God, this is beautiful. It's like, yes, but it also was very intimidating at 15, not knowing the language and by yourself. And at the time there was like, it was just dial-up internet. So we had these call cards that I had about 10 minutes a week to just go talk to my parents, right? That was it. And, bless my parents. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old now. So it scares the heck out of me thinking about them leaving so early, but the trust that they put in, and obviously we worked so hard. So after that, I went to Spain. I played in Spain, in Barcelona. I lived there for a year, and same thing. It was like a soccer academy. So living the dream, right? Then big injury happened, and unfortunately, the environment that I was in was not optimal for this. I did not get along with one of the coaches, and that really based my decision of not playing soccer anymore at 18, because in my head, I thought I was way too late for the game. So I came back home. I told that to my dad, who took it very personal. And because he was there helping us and supporting us through the entire journey, we did not speak for about 8 months after that. And it was just really a rocky moment in my life where I felt like really lost. So I went to college back home in Venezuela for a couple of years, worked with a company called RedBull, and I found really a passion of mine, which is marketing and events and the things and content, things that we do now. And that was my starting point to building what we have now. Then political situation becomes like really, really challenging in Venezuela. For those who don't know, there's a dictatorship happening. It has evolved quite a bit, but at the moment, the government was chasing students. A lot of students were being thrown in jail. It was not safe. I personally got kidnapped one night. There's all these things, and we can just do an episode just on that.
Oh
but that led to making the decision of, I'm out of this country. I don't see my future. I don't see opportunities. I have a couple of assets, right? I know how to speak English, and I play soccer. So let's try and go get a scholarship in the United States. And that way, money-wise, our family could not afford to send us here to college. So that was the route. So we utilized those assets and we recorded a couple of videos, again, content. And then we called email 300 coaches, I believe it was from every single coach from D1 to D3. We had no idea what the difference was at the time. We're like, these are colleges, they have soccer teams. One of them is going to respond. And I got 2 answers and my brother got 2 answers. And I ended up here in North Florida. There's a little parenthesis in there where I got a glass cut my foot. So the first college that reached out took away my scholarship. So I had to wait another year. But I eventually ended up here in North Florida, University of North Florida. Go Ospreys. And
I just want to pause you for a moment. I just want to pause you for a moment because I really need for my audience to hear something to be repeated. This man and his brother at such young age, 18, I think you said, right? Yeah. 300 emails, people, okay? When you're talking about how to get business out there and lead generation, when we're talking about lead generation, I'm also a real estate agent, and a lot of people from my office listen as a Wellness Wednesday call, and this is exactly what gets you business. 300 cold emails to come here on a scholarship with a video. Yeah. It's just brilliant. It is just brilliant. So I wanted to really just say that really hard, is that determination. There was no thought like, oh, I'm not confident, or I have a lot of self-doubt. They put that shit aside and went forward with the goal.
Uh,
Continue.
uh, no, 100%. And I love that you made that comment, right? Because for us, there was no option. It was like either we go somewhere or our future, we don't see a future. It was foggy like crazy. And I today, I don't imagine a life without that opportunity that we got, or the opportunity that we worked so hard to get, right? Because I met my wife in college, right? I have my 2 kids now. I still live in the same city. This has become home for me. So for us, there was no option. And we're like, we're going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. And like I said, there was a period there where I got a scholarship in Texas. It got taken away because of an accident that I had in my foot where I had to go get surgery. And then we had to do it all over again. So it was 2 times that we had to go do it. And then by chance, right? And the universe works in mysterious ways. But the guy that saw my video that recruited me, when I got to the college, he was no longer there. And then I met him later, years later, when we were actually both playing in the same rec team after graduation. This was like 5 years later. And we're talking about how we ended up getting here. And his name is Oscar. So Oscar, if you're listening, man, thank you. But he was like, yeah, I saw your video and I pitched it to the head coach at the time, who got fired my freshman year. So there's another thing. And they were like, yeah, I think he's a fit. And then the guy was not there any longer. So, you know, thanks to Oscar, I'm here in the States, but also thanks to the proactiveness, right? And we talk about this all the single time with businesses. It's like, there has to be a level of commitment with our communication. If we have a product, right? If we have a service, if we have a message, right, that can help somebody, it's our duty to go tell them, right? It's like, we can make your thing way better, right, by hiring us. And I do believe that right now with our product, we have an amazing product, but also back then, for me, the product was me, was the player, was my skills as a soccer player. So we have our duty to go do that. So my question to you, and this can sound a little crazy, but it's like, do you actually believe in yourself on the thing that you do enough to go send 300 emails?
I want to just add to that as well. That is a beautiful question. And if you guys are on this Facebook Live and you're with me often, you know how much I believe in the power of questions, the powerful questions that we ask ourselves. Outside of, do you believe in yourself and are you committed? I want you to recognize how many obstacles was in his way. He cut his foot and ended up having to wait a whole nother year. So many of us get defeated off of one obstacle coming our way. And that was a big one. He not only had to wait a year, he had to keep his dream alive through that whole year. He had to keep his eye on the goal that whole year. Then the coach got fired. Then the person who first initially saw the video that gave it to the coach and promoted it to the coach, he wasn't there anymore. It was one obstacle after another. And that is what I'm saying is not only are we struggling with getting that first 300 emails out there, shit, so many of you guys are struggling with getting the first 10 emails out there. And then to keep going obstacle after obstacles. I say this all the time. It's the beginning, it's the intro of my podcast, which is obstacles are not the thing blocking your path. Obstacles are the path. You have to grow through what you go through. So tell me, going through all of that to get here and finally meeting your wife, doing all the things, you're not even doing soccer anymore.
Yeah.
What, like, it's leadership on steroids, right? We talked about this in my episode with you when I came on, and we talked about leadership, and it is by setting the example. It's leading by example. Tell me what that is like for you and the type of confidence it has built in you and how you use that in your parenting outside of your business, but in your personal life as a mentor to your family and someone that they can look up to with just honor.
Thank you. So first of all, not the system is not quite there yet. So as a parent, I feel like a total beginner and we mess up every single time. But really what I've been working on lately a lot has been on stepping out of that situation and trying to look at from above and be like, okay, asking the hard questions, right? What's the hard reality, right? What's my belief right now on this? And then is there a way that I can actually change that belief for the better, right? you know, after the whole US soccer thing where we never graduated, right? From 2014 all the way till now, that's when the company has been alive, right? And we've tried many, many things and we failed many, many times. I mean, I can tell many stories when we were like knocking on doors to sell social media marketing services to restaurants. That was hilarious, right? Or vinyl stickers or screen printing t-shirts, all these things, right? And it's just like soccer. You go and you play and you have the ball, you carry and you try to dribble somebody. And then sometimes you don't succeed at dribbling that guy, but are you gonna stop playing? Are you gonna ask to be subbed right away, or are you actually going to turn around, try to get that ball back and go again, right? And soccer has taught me many, many things, right? Where it's okay. It's a game made out of mistakes. Life is a game made out of mistakes, and it's how we get up from those mistakes and how we move forward, right? So just recently, just now, like the call I was just in before this interview was with the entire team that we have at Beach Bros. And, you know, communication has been broken in the last couple of months, and that's okay. We took responsibility, we acknowledged the hard truth, and now we put a plan in place so it doesn't happen again, right? And that came directly from feedback from the team. So we always try to keep the door open, just in business, but also in life. That has been something that has helped me personally with my wife. Now with my kids, like Luca is turning 4 in April. So now like he's this little man, right? That's growing very, very quickly. And I'm thinking like what, like I'm very scared in a sense, right? With the world that we have today, but at the same time, I feel like I do have the tools to make sure that I can do my best always, that he sees me doing that. One very specific example is I wasn't working out too much. I left my health kind of go south in the last 2 years, like many people, right? And I remember listening to a phrase is, you know, when you're asking your kid to do their best, can they look around and can they turn around and be like, are you actually doing your best? So that really hit home. And that same day, we're like, identify what's the friction of me not going to work out. Like for me, was the time driving there, or like, what is the thing that is keeping me away from that? So guess what? We made a big investment and we built a home gym, and we have not stopped using it since. And guess what? We include the kids. We put a trampoline in there where they can jump, they can be with us, they can see us doing our thing, right? Getting better every single day. So that's just a very small, like recent example. And but we go back to that question, right? What's causing me friction from achieving really what I want? And there's sometimes we don't know really what we want, but we can maybe see 1 or 2 steps in front of us, right? And it's just, can we make that one step, right? Can I make that 20-minute run? Can I make, you know, that 20-minute or those 10 push-ups or those 5 push-ups, right? Can we make that? And guess what? You're gonna be better. So next time you do the same. And then it's funny, you can hold, we talk about this on the Facebook Live challenge, right? We talk about this, it might be cloudy, and then it's like having a lighter in front of you, and then that fire illuminates a little bit in front of you, right? And then as you step forward, right, that fire gets, you know, brighter, and then it's like somebody takes away that, but it gives you like a massive fire, and then you see through execution. And so anyway, so that's a couple of things that I'm doing.
And they're not little, by the way. They're not little. I heard you say little, and they're not little. They're huge, right? You're like, what's keeping me from going to the gym? I'm going to eliminate any of that and build a home gym. Not many people will go to the extreme to get rid of the obstacle and make it. That's some of the biggest parts of starting a new habit, is making it easy for yourself. Stop making it so difficult. Just take the next step. You know, in the beginning of this year, I talked about the difference between telling yourself it's a resolution, because that means you're trying to resolve a problem. It's not a problem. You're just trying to evolve to the next version of yourself, right? To get to the best version of yourself, which is an ongoing evolution of yourself, right? You guys, absolutely. I want to be able to share Luis with you guys and just share with us where we can find you and where we can work with you. And by the way, these guys, him and Fonzie, have an amazing live on their Facebook channel all the time. I'm going to send you the link for that in the times. They play games on there. I almost won a couple times. Got to keep going back. But because we're going to keep having this conversation for a little bit longer, and I'll send you guys a link for the full episode. But real quick, tell everybody before you and I jump off and continue our conversation, where can they get you and what do you got for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're in Jacksonville, Florida, send me a text or send me a message on social media. We'll hang out, we'll drink some coffee together. But on social media, my most active place is Instagram. So at Luis D. Camejo, but at BeastBros.co, BeastBros.co, you can also find us there. Obviously, the name of our podcast, Content is Profit, is in every podcasting platform. So you'll also see the information where to find us there. But social media is the place to talk to me. We also have a Facebook group called Content is Profit, which is where Pratiti said that we stream all our episodes live in there. So come hang out. We have an awesome group, an awesome community, and hopefully we can get to do some fun stuff soon.
Yo, I just saw it this morning. It's a huge community, people. There's thousands of people, and I was like, holy moly. Please, I'm not the only one anymore.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to jump off and we're going to keep talking. Thank you for listening to Unpacking Brain Drama podcast. You'll find links for all the things mentioned below in the show notes. And it would be incredibly awesome if you would take a quick moment to leave a review on iTunes or wherever you listen. If you'd like to be considered as a guest on our podcast, be sure to go to www.resultsbydesigncoaching.com for a free 30-minute coaching session. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.